Hi there, it's Andrew here, just about to do a plein air sketch overlooking Loe Pool on a pretty mild February late afternoon, which was fantastic. Loe Pool is the largest natural freshwater lake in Cornwall. In case you're wondering, it's separated from the sea by Loe Bar, which is a natural sandbank that built up many years ago, and the river Ochre flows through Helston and into Loe Pool. It's a beautiful place, and we're very lucky to have it right on our doorstep, and somewhere for us all to enjoy. I'm using Casein paint here, just on a normal sea white A4 landscape sketchbook. Fairly thin paper, but it holds the Casein very nicely. Just very smooth paper. I just love it for sketching. And the Casein is fairly new to me, but since watching James Gurney use it on his channel a few times, I thought let's give it a go. And I really love it because it's I found it's a paint that dries very quickly outdoors in the winter where it's cold and damp often here in Cornwall, and it dries really quickly, so I can actually layer it up, which is the way I like to paint. And it's water based, so I haven't got to carry too much stuff with me, so I just sit down on my stool, relax, enjoy the view, and enjoy the birdsong which you can hear in the background. The other noise you can hear in the background is like a pump which is coming from the farm, which is behind me just down the hill, where they've had a few problems with some flooding recently, and they're just sort of pumping some water out. Now this particular end of the afternoon was sort of early evening. It was superb for February. Then we could pop out and I could just sit and do a bit of sketching with the dog. He makes another appearance later on towards the end of the video, so I recommend you watching, it's quite funny. This is just a really limited palette which I'm painting with. We've got a... I'm going to try and remember now. Got a yellow ochre, a cadmium red, an ivory black. I've got a titanium white. I do have a little tube of cadmium yellow and a tube of cobalt blue, but it's mainly the yellow ochre, the black, white and the cadmium red which I'm using. And I suppose it's a bit like what people call it a zone palette. And the other colours I just add in to give me a bit of a boost in the green fields and maybe a bit of blue in the sky, which I can't quite get with the ivory black and white mix. And the scene in front of me is quite a difficult one to paint, other than the sky and the green field that you can see in the foreground. There's obviously you can see the Loe Pool there in the middle of the page, but either side of that is just a massive scrubby winter trees, with the odd large tree popping through the canopy, but it's a lot of sort of scrubby willow type trees which just grow in this sort of damp boggy habitat around the pool. So the tones and the colours are all very similar. So basically I'm just trying to find areas to lay colour in, and that's why I like the Casein. If this was watercolour, it'd all be bleeding into each other by now, but because this Casein is milk based paint and it just dries pretty quickly, I can layer on the top without it bleeding anywhere, and it's quite an opaque paint, and I just love that, because I'm so used to painting with oils. Just taking a break there. There's my dirty old palettes. They're just old pencil case tins. I only used 2 brushes really, a flat and a round with a reasonable point on it. There's the round. Just a couple of cheap brushes, but they do the job. So it's just a case of building these colours up in the layers just a little bit at a time, just constantly looking at the scene in front of me. Of course the sun is setting at this point fairly quickly, so I'm trying to move on a bit. This sketch would have taken about 20 minutes, 25 minutes in its entirety in real time. It was just nice to be sat there without a big bulky coat on, just a hat and a pair of old fingerless gloves there, and I've just got my boots on to keep my feet warm and dry. But yeah, it's just great. Totally unexpected for February.
This is the bit which is the trickiest, because once you go over that, there's no stopping. You know what I mean? It's got to go right there as well. Look.
Using both ends of the paintbrush, scratching in there to give the impression of the branches in the foreground trees. Also, this is all about getting a feel for the scene and the light on that particular evening, rather than fiddling with too many details. There's a few areas on the water has some shadows and a little bit of a current I wanted to put in there, and try and get the colour of the water a bit more accurate. There's some birds. Fantastic. This is fairly important, this part here, where I'm trying to just introduce these branches and foreground trees across the background. It gives us a bit of a depth to the sketch. This is where I'm trying to lay in some darks. I've got in the foreground there, and I do tend to just loosely put in some sort of ideas of branches with a graphite stick there. And even paint with it as well.
Not bad for February to be outside sketching in just a jumper. I don't know if it's because I keep them out all the time and I don't feel the cold as much. I don't know.
Just picking out a few clouds in the sky there, as I was just sort of catching the sun as it's going down. Just give it a bit more interest up there. And this paint's got quite a nice sort of milky feel to it. It's just like, whereas oils is like painting with cream, this is like painting with milk. Literally, coloured milk. Got some fields on the distant hillside there, just trying to mark in a few hedgerows. I'm pretty much coming to the end now, so I'm just starting to fiddle a bit, which is never a good sign. But sometimes you just know when to stop. That's the problem. You keep on going forever if you're not careful. And there we go. I think I've decided to call it a day. Well, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and it's bye for now. And watch out for the dog in a minute. It's really funny. I always make a note of where it is and the time and the date on every page of my sketchbook, just so I know when and where it was to refer back to in a few years' time. And there he goes. He's funny. Tail wagging.